All right, it looks like we have started our live stream from the Utah Safety Council. We are here for our January 2023 Start with Safety webinar. So I'll be the first to wish everybody a happy new year. I think we're only 4 days into the 2023, so it's still okay, I think, to say happy new year. So happy new year. We're excited to have you. 2022 was a great comeback year for the Utah Safety Council, and we're excited with what 2023 has in store for us and the Safety Council's membership base and the big plans that we have. So we're going to start off 2023 with our child passenger safety webinar that we're eager to jump into. I quickly wanted to give you a quick update. We for the last couple of years with COVID, we have delivered the Utah Safety Conference virtually, but if you haven't heard, we're excited to go back live and in person for the Safety Conference this March 16th and 17th. It'll be up at the University of Utah Rice-Cycle Stadium in the Ken Garff Scholarship Club up there. We'll have our keynote addresses in the field house and breakout sessions and suites and conference rooms up there. We'll have access to the field. It'll be a great setting. We're excited to have you. Registration is open. Randy will give you more details here in a minute, but just wanted to invite everybody, attendees, sponsors, exhibitors. I think we would love to have everybody back for a live and in-person safety conference March 16th and 17th. Also back for a second year. We've really reinvested and recommitted to our Occupational Safety Essentials class. This is a free benefit class for companies. It's a great introductory or reminders or refresher course. It's an all-day class for safety professionals that come in live or virtually, but we'd love to see you live here at the Safety Council for it's about a 7-hour class with lunch, and our instructor will take you through the A all the way to Z with everything you need to know to start and facilitate a safety program in your workplace. So that's something we do every month. We'd love to have you. The first one is coming up next Monday, the 9th. So registration's open. We'd love to see you there. We've also launched a podcast. We're 6 or 7 episodes into that called Start with Speaking Up for Safety. There's a link on our Facebook page. There's a website. You can also find these episodes on whatever format you use to download podcasts. So I would encourage you to check it out. Our guest of honor today, Kerilee Burton, she was on our last podcast episode. So at the conclusion of today's Start with Safety webinar, we'll put out a link to her interview as well as what she's about to present to us today. And Start with Safety, these webinars happen every month, and so I'd encourage you, they're free, and we would encourage you to continue to tune into those. We have an exciting agenda for that in 2023. And then Women in Safety. We just had our great Women in Safety Wish Award banquet a few weeks back in December in 2022, which seems so long ago now, but we are back and we've made some more investments into that program along with the Labor Commission. And so we would love to have all the women in safety participating in that program. We have a lot of great things planned for that program this year. And again, Brandy will give you the details, as we move forward with 2023. So I am out of time. Again, Happy New Year. We're excited to have you. Thank you for your membership and engaging with the Safety Council. And we're excited for another year of, keeping Utah safe and saving lives in the workplace and everywhere here in our great state of Utah. So with that, I am going to turn over to Michael Stone, our traffic manager, to do a little housekeeping. And we're going to run through the managers are going to run through a quick update before we introduce our speaker for today. So Michael Stone, you want to take over?
Well, first things first, good morning, everybody. The structure of this webinar is going to work as such. We're going to just have every program manager kind of go over updates as far as what's coming up for the month of January, exciting things in their program, and they're going to talk a little bit about those. And then we're going to get into our speaker, which, as mentioned, was Kerilee Burton, and she's going to talk about child passenger safety and all the important things and things a lot of people may not quite know about child passenger safety and just how vital it is in their daily lives. But I'll be starting things off for the update. And so listed on your screen now are going to be all of the classes for just in-person based off of location. And we have plenty of courses to choose from, plenty of availability. However, it is always offered online for those who are just looking to do something quick, and it covers both point reduction and the approach emergency vehicle. The approach emergency vehicle is only for the Zoom courses or for the in-person courses. However, one thing I do want to highlight real quick is that we offer on-site courses, which is pretty much where you gather a group of your people you want to train, and we send our instructor out to either your location or we use our location, and we give that vital training to you and your employees at kind of like a one-on-one basis. In a sense, we can kind of tweak the program and customize it to fit all your needs while also highlighting the most vital and important things. And you can go about that either by emailing me or calling me, and my information is on the right-hand side of your screen. And you'll hear from me later on, but for now, I'm going to have to turn the time over to Brandon to give his program updates.
Hey there, everybody. My name is Brandon. I manage the emergency care program. We have here on the screen coming up on the 11th, our member benefit first aid CPR AED course. This is a course that we host. It's open to the public. If you're a member, make sure to take advantage of your member benefit and send somebody in for that. And then we have our first aid CPR AED instructor course. This is where we train the trainer. It gives you the opportunity to have somebody from your company come here. We'll teach them all that they need to know to come back to your facility, teach first aid, CPR, and AED. And that's on the 18th through the 20th. We also have a lot of products and services that we can provide, whether you're a CPR instructor, first aid instructor, you need training materials, training AED trainers, all those sort of things we can help you with. We also do sell AEDs, so if your facility needs an AED, and all facilities need an AED, I can be a resource for you in getting an AED into your facility. And with that, I'm not sure who it's going to, honestly. Hannah, here's Hannah.
Okay, so we're good to go with our department. We're excited to talk about it. We have a lot of program updates and highlights to give. The first one is for basic orientation projects in UITC. Same drill with it. It needs to be in person. So those are in-person classes that are going to be happening for it. And yeah, we're just trying to build out the UITC department as well. If you have any other questions related to whether maybe you've already taken BOP or other aspects of refinery, feel free to touch base with us. Our computer lab has a lot of options when it comes to just hundreds of different trainings, and a lot of people are able to get their BOPR refresher and other things related to it. So those are the main ones for that one. Some other things, big changes that have been happening in our departments have been the MSHA. We've moved most of our classes that are MSHA 8 or 24 or 32, all of our MSHA classes to online. This is just so we can honestly open the market when it comes to being able to reach you guys wherever you're at, wherever you're located, within the country or even without. We've had a lot of people even international. We're trying to track all of the progress when it comes to all the different locations we get people to train from. And it's been really cool to see. Obviously, MSHA is within the United States, but still there's a lot of international, we get international students, we get different states that need this training, and it's fun to be able to offer it to those people, no matter where they're at or their location. So all of those are web-based for MSHA 8 and for 24. And if you have any questions related to maybe, I've had a few people that maybe Usually these days, people are able on their laptop to have a camera, and they're usually able to navigate Zoom pretty well. But if you're in a situation where maybe you just don't navigate Zoom as much, or maybe you're just struggling a bit with making sure your camera's working, feel free to touch base with us. We can either help you troubleshoot that, or honestly, we even have a setup here where if you want to take the web-based class, but you're just unsure about, there's something you're nervous about when it comes to logistics of being able to do it, we do have a setup here where we can still do the web-based class, but get it set up for you. So it shouldn't be an issue. We can easily adjust and modify, and even maybe, honestly, even if you're needing with your company something a bit more customized, we are able to customize our hours. How we, break it up into different days, make it to it fit within your scope and schedule with your employees. So we can create it as an on-site as well, if you're just needing more modifications in our pre-scheduled classes. But we have tried to put in more MSHA classes. So, just keep in mind, keep your eye on it. We're trying to keep the temp on when the numbers rise for MSHA so we can add more classes as needed. So feel free to touch base. There are ways we can do workarounds, whether it comes to our pre-scheduled classes or our on-sites. And then moving forward, some highlights we have for our occupational department. Advanced safety certificate and OSHA compliance certificate. My co-coordinator Hannah has been working tirelessly to create some really great ways that you could get these certificates really quickly, really efficiently, really affordable. Some ways she's done it is through packaging, so that way you're able to do it within like a week instead of like waiting it out and asking for all these different times off. You can just crank them out all together on top of each other, or even just pick half. There's just different ways to mix and match that we've been able to do with our calendar in order to try make it so that it's a little bit more intuitive, a little bit faster, a little bit easier, as well as discounting, whether it comes to OSHA OSHA compliance certificate or advanced safety certificate. If you're able to purchase it in one as a package, that also has discounts that come with it. And there are ways we can customize that for you. So if you have any questions about getting your advanced safety certificate, feel free to just touch base with us, as well as your OSHA compliance. Honestly, it's such an incredible way to be able to just show that you have knowledge and experience in an area that you probably already do, but just to prove you have those class-based skills that kind of come with higher learning, that being a lifelong learner, and you have a tangible, something that actually goes on your resume, something that actually shows your knowledge and experience. And if your company's already investing in you doing trainings, regardless, related to safety every year, why not have something that's actually that actually shows that, especially if your company's already investing in you, they might be able to as well. And related to that, on our next slide, if you're in a situation where you're interested in that, you might, maybe you have all this knowledge and safety and you want to be able to just, show it, then, but you're unsure about funding. Two options you might be able to consider is not just seeing your company can invest in it. A lot of people might be surprised how companies already have funds for higher learning, but also just considering the fact that we do have a workplace safety scholarship program. So if you're in a situation where your company or the branch of your company is under 250 employees, you fill out this form, you send it to me. There's honestly, go into our main website, type in scholarship, or we have paper scholarships. We can even email you the scholarship. It's an editable PDF or in paper. We easily can cut that price in half just based off the scholarship we have and just the size. But even if you're unsure, you're like, oh, my company's just a little bit bigger than 250 employees, or my branches, or there's other factors, touch base with us. We have other options like custom fit and other things that might just really be a great option for you when it comes to funding. So, and sometimes even if there's certain packaging, there are ways we can still customize even with that if we start that working conversation. So always just reach out to us if you have any questions or any ideas. We try to have a growth mindset in our department when it comes to trying to troubleshoot options. So other than that, I think those are main ones with our departments. And honestly, we're just excited to build our departments this year, and we're excited for any feedback you guys have and just anything that you guys want, anything that you guys dream, but we're going to try to create. So just touch base with us, and we'd love to hear feedback or ideas or just questions you have that we might be able to figure something out. So now we'll leave it off to our front desk fleet, Nicole Ackman and Justin Ward, for all of their amazing things in their program with the computer lab, and also just everything that they're doing with their program.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Ward. And as Annabelle had just mentioned with Nicole Ackman, we are the program administrators for the Utah Safety Council. We help all of the programs, especially we focus with the computer lab. Computer lab is open Monday through Friday by appointment. And we do, as Annabelle mentioned as well, we offer hundreds of online trainings, nearly 400 right now. And we have the availability to get specific trainings if we need to offer something we don't have quite yet. Also, as a little plug for our media library, we have over 1,000 physical DVDs in office to rent, specifically free for members, but we also have the ability to rent out to non-members as well. But with that as a member benefit, and also with our streaming service, you can get quite a few training videos for your employees. We love to have you come in, and we are excited for 2023. And I'm going to turn it over to Brandy now.
Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. So I just want to kind of recap some membership benefits and talk about the event, some of the exciting events that we have coming up, and just any questions that you have. So as members, I just want to remind you of some of those benefits. Now, this is the general level of benefits that you're seeing here, and we won't go through all of these, but just a few highlights. If you haven't taken advantage of our streaming safety videos, you certainly should. You can use those for trainings, wherever you are, and share that information with anybody at your company. So, make sure that you have access to that. If you don't, feel free to contact me. You can email safety@utahsafetycouncil.org. And then, we've mentioned it 1 or 2 or 3 times, but they're good courses. So it's worth mentioning again, the free training that you get with your membership. So make sure that if it's not you, it's someone at your organization that are taking advantage of the OSHA 10s and the first aid and CPR. First aid and CPR has a renewal of every 2 years. And so you can cycle through that with yourself or send others from your company. And then the OSHA 10 certifications are for life. So you could, the longer you're a member, the more people you can get certified with your OSHA 10. And then, we do have membership appreciation events, a handful of throughout the year. And a lot of people join just for discounts on safety training and products. And so that's really important to make sure that you're utilizing those. And our safety awards, just making sure that, you're submitting that if you can. So again, just a reminder, membership is what you put into it, and we're here to help. So if you have any questions, don't feel bad about reaching out at all about your membership. Okay, some of the free courses that we've mentioned. Just want to make sure that the date, January 11th for the first aid and CPR, and then February 9th. Those are the next 2 upcoming ones, and we still have room in those classes. So make sure to go on and register for those. And then the other class I want to mention too is the occupational safety essentials. And then the next 2 dates, I know Annabelle mentioned the one in January already, and that's coming up. It's right around the corner. And then also February 13th. So that class is free for members. And so just make sure that you get registered. We do have, it's a great foundation for someone who's starting in safety, but it's also great for those who have an established program and are looking to supplement or, to take another look at their safety program and what they can add to it. So that's a great course. We can't say enough about it. That's why we've mentioned it 3 times already, but make sure that, you send someone to that class. It's free. There's nothing to lose. So the next slide is, I just want to thank everybody. John mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we did have the WISH Award, the Women in Safety and Health banquet on December 16th. So that was a super fun event, and you'll see our presenter next, but that's her. So she actually received the WISH Award this year for all of her accomplishments in traffic safety. And so we're lucky to have her with us again today. But just thanks to everyone who came and supported the Women in Safety event and the program as well. So we appreciate that. More events to come for that, for sure. And John also mentioned conference registration. So that is open for attendees, exhibitors, and we do have more room for sponsors if that's what you're so interested in. And we did put the conference link in the chat. So if you're interested in signing up or learning more about the agenda or what speakers, what our lineup is, pricing, things like that, feel free to just click on that and check it out. But it is one of our biggest events that we do every year. And this will be the first time that we're back in person after COVID. So super exciting. And it's going to be at a different venue than our conference has ever been at before. So up at the Rice Eccles Field Club up at the University of Utah. And so it's a beautiful location. It'll be a great day. So we really would love to see you there. And I think then I'm just going to turn it over to Stone, who's going to introduce our keynote speaker, who's here with us today. And so we'll just take it from there. Thanks.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to introduce Kerilee, fresh off of her Women in Health and Safety Award. So I'm sure she's very excited and high spirits about that. So Kerilee has been working in child passenger safety field since the early 1990s, when she created the county's first program at a local health department in California. Later, when she started her family, Kerilee left her formal job, received plenty of practical hands-on experience with car seat safety, raising her 5 children. Returning to child passenger safety in 2010, she became Utah State's Child Passenger Safety Coordinator, a position that she held for the last 12 years. She is an instructor for both the National Child Passenger Safety Certification Program and the Safe Travel for All Children course. Kerilee graduated from Brigham Young University in Public Health and Family Life and is a certified health education specialist, as well as a certified child life specialist. Currently, Kerilee is the Child Passenger Safety and Teen Driving Program Manager at the Utah Highway Safety Office and works with special needs families at Primary Children's Hospital. Kerilee graduated from the Thunderfoot Clogging Academy in Bakersfield, California, and will demonstrate her skills upon request. So I tried to get her downstairs, but we were having some tech issues, so she will not clog today. Unfortunately, she's kind of just cooped up in the lounge room. However, there will also be a Q&A portion at the end of her presentation. So if anyone has any questions throughout, please put them down in the chat and I will read those off to Kerilee at the very end. And now I turn it over to Kerilee.
Okay, great. Can you all hear me? I am happy to be here today. I have been lucky to work in child passenger safety for quite a while and have been able to see how far we have come in the last 20, 30 years. And I currently work for the Highway Safety Office. I also am a PRN staff for Primary Children's Hospital. And so I'm able to be involved in the special needs car seat world and also teach in that area as well. I would like to start with a video here. Brandy, I need to go forward. I'm just hitting this and it's not going forward.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Here we go. There's not sound.
Yeah, I can get the sound.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I think we're okay. There's just music. All right. So I love car seat safety because we are able to really help our most vulnerable population, our children. And I want to start today with several questions because often people come to our classes to become a certified technician and they say, what are we here for 4 days to learn this? And I think that you have to kind of get into it and see and ask yourself these questions to know if you know very much about car seat safety. So this is a question that we get a lot. Which car seat is the safest? And there are so many car seats on the market. Back in the early 90s, it was easy. We knew all of the the companies, and they had a couple of seats. And now it's much different. And so we're going to talk more about this, but there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. Is it safer to use the seat belt or the lower anchors when installing my car seat? You would think it's best to use both. So we're going to talk about that. And then how tight should the car seat be? This is very important. Right there at the belt path is where we test to see how tight it is. And then the harness straps. So those 5-point harnesses, we use them in lots of different things, especially for little babies, you know, high chairs, swings, strollers, but they're never really all that important because we're right there with our kids until they get in a car, and that's when it's so important that they're tight. How do you determine which harness slot to use? So that is definitely a thing, very important. Where should the chest clip be located? And we will discuss that as well. Should we put a blanket underneath our child so it props them up like it should be? They feel like they fit it better. Is that okay? And when, this is a really big deal. People don't know, when can I transition to the next seat? So when can a child move from a forward-facing seat to a booster seat? We'll discuss that in detail as well. And then really, why are booster seats so important? It doesn't seem like, you know, that's such a big deal. They're so, you know, they're just not a big deal. $15 that you can get just a simple booster seat, but truly can save your child's life. Well, first of all, let's talk about how important it is that we are properly using car seats. So car seats can reduce the risk of injury by 71%, and death by 28%. And so just using that car seat alone, you can see how much good that does. Also, the misuse rate is crazy. You know, back when I started in this field, we were just concerned about getting car seats in people's cars and having people use them. Now we are concerned about people using these correctly. You think about it, a car is designed for an adult. And so those seatbelts are designed for adults. And so to make it so that they work for children is kind of a feat. And we have to really follow so many different technical guidelines. And we're going to talk about those. For lots of years, crashes have been the leading cause of death for children and for teens. Now, suicide is kind of taken over with the teens, but still for children, it is the leading cause of death. Since we are talking about misuse, I am going to show this video. And unfortunately, we don't have music. So granted, there are a lot of fathers who are within that 30% and who are very, very well-intentioned. But we do see so much misuse out there. So I want to just tell you a little bit about Utah's program. So we have just such a great program here in Utah for teaching the public about child passenger safety, and also training people to become technicians. So we have a group of people, 16 people, who make up our instructor team. And that group is the ones that are responsible for teaching approximately 8 classes a year throughout Utah. And we will travel with that certification training. And once you take that class, it's a 4-day class, you are nationally certified. Now we have over 300 technicians in Utah. So 300 people who are certified to be the last person to touch your seat. Now, a lot of people in hospitals and different organizations throughout the state can teach about car seats. And we have so many great resources to give them to do that teaching, but you can't actually get in and install that seat unless you are certified. So we have 106 inspection stations throughout the state as well. So there are places to go. Here it says clickit.utah.gov. I hope all of you remember that from this presentation, because everything I'm talking about today, you can find on that website, and you can make an appointment to get your car seat checked. So the law is usually the minimum requirement. We like to teach the law, but we also like to teach that it is the minimum, and the best practice is what we teach. And best practice is to go above the law. So the law, maybe above the law isn't the way I should say that. That doesn't sound right. But to do better than even the minimum requirement the law puts out there. So Utah's law is that children have to be in a child restraint until they are 8 years old. So when they're 8, some parents and some kids are thinking, hey, I can be out of my booster. However, often kids need to stay in a booster seat until they're 10 years old. We'll talk about that in a little bit of why that's so important. So today we're just going to go over some basics. We're going to talk about buying a car seat, because it can be very overwhelming to be out there and say, what is the best car seat? And what type of car seat do we need? And what are all the criteria, all the things I should think about? And then we're going to talk about installing the car seat and making sure that we have the right fit. And then also when to transition, when we should go to the next stage. So first of all, buying a car seat. I have here 3 pretty basic car seats. We've got an infant seat. That infant seat is, you'll know it's an infant seat and a rear facing only seat, because you'll see that you can carry it around. It also doubles as a holder for your baby. And so you can only go rear facing in it. Sometimes you can keep your child in that seat up to 2 years old. It just depends on the size of your child. The middle seat there is what we call a convertible seat. That seat goes rear facing and forward facing. And so that seat often will go up to 65 pounds and will go rear facing to 40 pounds. So that's a seat that you can use for a long, long time. And it really depends on your infant seat and how long you use that infant seat. It would depend on how long you would have to use the convertible seat. That seat goes rear facing and forward facing. And there are seats on the market that are just forward facing seats. And you can buy those seats and they eventually turn into boosters. And the last seat here on this slide is a booster seat. Booster seats come with no back at all. And they also come with a back. The back offers a little more protection because it ensures that that child will fit the seatbelt in the right spot, so that seatbelt hits them on their shoulder and their hip bones. So those are kind of some basic seats and some things to take into consideration here. If I had a car seat with me today, I would probably point out these things, but you've got different harness slots there. You have a chest clip. You've got that 5-point harness. All of those parts and pieces need to be tightened. They need to be in the right position and use the right slot. And so let's just go on here and we can see. I just want you to know that there are installation videos on our website, and that again is clickit.utah.gov. Not only can you can make an appointment to go and get your car seat checked by going to that site and you can have a certified technician look at your car seat and ensure that you know how to install it yourself. But you can look and see those installation videos, and you can also get a lot of resources on that website. The one thing having to do with installation is the inch test, and that is that your seat at the belt path should not move more than an inch when you move it from side to side and front to back. And that is very, very important. If you've got a rear facing seat, it will be right at the belt path, not in other areas of the seat, like at the right next to the seat in the front. You may find that it moves quite a bit, but when you're in the crash, what's important is that belt path. So also, we want to have you use a top tether. Now, if you're using a top tether, that is going to reduce the amount of, reduce the head excursion. And so your child's head will not go as far forward because of that top tether. Now, not every car has a top tether because it was required after 2003. So of course we run into those cars where we can't use the tether. It's just an added bonus and an added measure of safety to be able to use that tether. All right, so we want to talk about right fit now. So that would be the harnessing. So we talked a little about that 5-point harness. You notice where the chest clip is. Now, if you have a toddler, then you've got a lot more room and lots of different places where that chest clip can be. And so it's really important that it's always at what I call the tickle spot. So right under the armpit, or right there at the armpit, that's where we want that chest clip. That's going to keep the 5-point harness on your child in the crash. And so that's important. But when you have a little baby, you just don't have that much room there. It's very important to keep it right in that spot with any child that's in a 5-point harness. And then we also want it to be tight. We want the 5-point harness to be tight. And so we have what we call a pinch test. And so if you go to pinch vertically and you have some harness in your fingers, then you know that you don't have it tight enough. I often will tell new parents, you know, keep the 5-point harness tight, whether you're in a car seat or anything else. So that's a good rule to go by. And then kids know that when they're in a 5-point harness, it will always be tight. All right, let's watch this. And unfortunately, we can't listen. Okay, again, the reminder of where you can go to get your car seat checked. You know, what's interesting is a lot of people just don't know that it is a thing to get your car seat checked. And we just have to teach people that, yeah, everybody should do that. Okay, so we're talking here about the harness level. So the slots, the different slots there, if your child is rear facing, then that we want it to be at or below the shoulders. Now, at is ideal, but if they are rear facing, then it should be at or below. I always think of The Price is Right when I say that, at or below. Anyway, and then forward facing, then it's the opposite direction, so the opposite rule. So it's at or above, okay? So we're kind of answering some of those questions that we posed just a little bit ago of, you know, those slots. They're very important to put them in just the right spot. Okay. All right, so I am excited about this because this is something that we now have a really good resource on our website that I'll tell you about. But this is the seatbelt fit test. So we have a lot of kids that move into a regular seatbelt before it's time. Like I mentioned, you know, the law says, oh, I'm 8, I can move into a regular seatbelt. But unfortunately, it typically doesn't fit an 8-year-old. And it's all about height at this point. And so we have a test on our website. Before we go into that, I would like to show a video. Unfortunately, this doctor is talking in the video and we can't see it. And so I will just kind of help you through the graphic so that you can understand. So when can you move your child? And when can you transition? And she's talking about the importance of height and how the knees go over the edge of the seat. So this child is ready because their hip bones will protect them with the lap belt and the shoulder belt, and they're sitting upright. However, if you don't have that situation, then your child is not ready. Now look at this picture and see how the knees do not bend right at the edge of the seat. So what's going to happen with that child is they're going to slouch down so that they're comfortable and their knees do bend. And then when they do that, instead of the lap belts coming across their hip bones, it's going to come across their waist. And that is where all of our internal organs could be damaged. Also, we are very concerned about the spinal cord. And so we can fix a lot of things, but the spinal cord is one of them that's very, very difficult for us to fix. I have a QR code here. This is in the seatbelt section of our website. And it's kind of an interactive test. It has you check certain things, to make sure that those knees are bending, that the feet are flat on the floor, that the shoulder belt hits at the shoulder bone, and that your child can ride there the whole ride. And those are the things that tell us that your child is ready to move on. Okay, so this is one that's difficult. Kids are not loving me when I tell their parents that they need to be 13 years old to sit in the front seat. Now, this is not about weight. So you may have a child that is even height, that is 12 years old, and they are a pretty big kid. They look like they're an adult and they'd be fine in the front seat. And so kids just don't understand why it's not okay. But we are concerned with how old those bones are. We want those bones to be able to withstand the airbag. And so we need those bones to be at least 13 years old for them to be in the front seat. So it's a vulnerable position, more so in the front seat than the back seat for sure. We always want to see kids in the back seat. So we want them to wait until they're 13. And that is difficult at times for these kids to do. But that is what we teach, and that is what will preserve their life. Okay, so this is a graph that we use on our website, and you can see that there's there's an overlap. So we have a rear-facing seat that often can be used until 3 years old, but for some kids, maybe 1. It just depends on their size. And then we have the forward-facing seat. And I'm sorry, I said the rear-facing car seat. That could be an infant seat or a convertible seat, just so you know. There are 2 types. The convertible is going to take them till they're like 3 years old because it goes to a higher weight. The rear-facing seat doesn't quite go as high. Some of them do. Some are good sized. Then the next seat is a forward-facing seat. And we like to see kids stay in the the faster you move through these stages, then the less safe your child will be. So you lose just a little measure of safety when you move to the next step. So we want to keep them rear facing for as long as possible. And then we want to keep them in a 5-point harness for as long as possible. We're not in any hurry to move on to the booster seat, and especially in a hurry to move on to the seatbelt, as we've discussed. And so it's not like we're proud of our kids. Like when they're walking, we're going, oh, my child, they're walking. They're not even a year old. I'm so proud of them. And we don't think that way when we think, wow, forward facing, my child's in a forward facing seat. That is not the way we're thinking about this. We don't want them to move on to these stages until their seat, we've maxed out their seats. So many seats can be rear facing till they're 40 pounds. We want them to stay that way. All right. This is the doctor again speaking, and I will kind of walk you through this video. So like I said, seatbelts are designed for adults. And so it's important that we are aware if our child truly needs a booster, because it can change how that seatbelt fits them. That boosts them up just enough. You can see that hip bones are important and the shoulder bones. So I can't emphasize that enough. And Primary Children, Zero Fatalities all helped us with these videos, which are being used nationally, by the way. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so again, our website. And the reason I bring this up over and over again is this is where you are going to get so much information. And this is your tie to the CPS technicians in the state. So we want you to go there, make an appointment, also to get a ton of resources. And I'm going to tell you now about the resources that we have on our website and through our office, the Highway Safety Office. So we have a very detailed brochure for when you should move your child into a booster on one side, and on the other side is when you should move your child out of a booster. And knowing that I'm talking to a lot of safety professionals here, these are things that your employees can use and that you can ensure that they know what they need to know about child passenger safety. So I'd love for you to be able to pass this on to them. Also, we have this kind of ages and stages child passenger safety brochure that has our graph there at the bottom. And that has English on one side, Spanish on the other. Everything we have available in English and Spanish. And then the last sheet there is what we call our next steps card. And so it has reminders of what people need to remember because when you're getting your car seat checked, you get a lot of information. So we send this home with them so that they know and have a reminder of all the things they need to remember, and remember when it's time to move their child to the next stage. Okay, so the measuring stick that you see on the top looks small. That's life size. So that is for like a doctor's office, so that kids can see when it's probably time to move out of a booster. And so they look at how tall they are, and then they can determine, oh, I could look at moving out of my booster, or, oh, I really still should be in my booster. We also have a law enforcement card. This is a trifold that law enforcement officers can give community members to remind them of the different misuses that are out there. So we train law enforcement to look for these misuses so that they can direct people to our website and they can go get their seat checked. In the middle there is what we call our hospital magnet. And so it has a magnet on the back. We're hoping that that will help people to not misplace it, and they will be able to put it on their fridge. go to our website and make an appointment. This is nice because it really just shows those 4 stages, and people are reminded, wow, I need to keep my child rear facing for that long. You know, that's important. And so the last one there is a poster. We put this poster in our pediatrician offices, and that just goes through the stages as well. So let's go on here. I have some really cool programs I want to tell you about before I end today. One is called Safe Seats, Save Lives. I've showed you some of the resources from that program. This is our pediatrician education program. So we had people from Primary Children's and Shriners Hospital, our 2 children's organizations that are helping with child passenger safety. They go into a pediatrician office and they show them the important things that they need to know about child passenger safety, because who do people turn to for this information? They turn to their pediatrician. And often the pediatrician just doesn't have the correct information. And so we give them brochures, we give them posters, we give them those measuring sticks. And we do that with the support of our partners with Zero Fatalities, the Highway Safety Office, and our children's hospitals. And then we have a fun program. This is the thing. We are teaching children, we're teaching people in the hospital when they have kids. We have health departments throughout Utah who are inspection stations and teach. And then kids go to school. And this is the Click It Club program. It's for elementary school. And our hope here, and we have seen it happen, is that the kids learn about traffic safety. They learn about how important it is to stay in a booster and to use a seatbelt. And then they can go home and teach their families. And if you're learning about this from your 8-year-old, you're more likely to go, wow, I need to use my seatbelt. So this is a great program. We have this on our website. It has lots and lots of activities that you can use in the classroom. Then our middle school program is the Zero Fatalities Pre-Driver program. This is videos that have been created that talk about the importance of seatbelts, the importance of, or the dangers of speed when you're driving. These are the 2 videos that we have in our collection right now, and we're continuing to add. And they cover the core education that they need to through the health classes. And so teachers can choose to teach about traffic safety, and we're trying to make it easier for them by offering this. Zero Fatalities outreach team is happy to come into your classroom and teach a presentation about traffic safety. And so this is a great resource that people should know about, and you as a safety professional can go to your child's health teacher and tell them about this resource. It is on the Zero Fatalities website and also on the Highway Safety website. Also, we have our Puente program, which we have created resources for our Hispanic community. And so we have a tab on our website where you can see videos in Spanish and learn the importance of using a seatbelt, how to use a seatbelt when you're pregnant, just lots of great resources. And I am just so excited to have your attention to say, hey, this is what we're doing in the community, and we want you to know about it. I am happy to get any of these resources for you, to get the magnets for you, to get the measuring sticks, those things that are more difficult that you can't just download on our website, but all of our brochures are available in English and Spanish to download on our website. I am so grateful that I could be here today and that we could talk about the importance of proper child passenger safety. And also let you know a little of what we are doing throughout Utah to keep our children safe and our teens safe. I'm available to get you resources and to help you so that you can pass this information on. Thank you for all that you are doing. And we appreciate making our community safer through your efforts as well. Thank you so much. It's been nice to be here with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Kerilee. I do have a couple questions for you, actually, if you have time to answer those. And so my very first question for you was, what are the most common problems that you see when you're checking a seat for the first time for somebody? It does sound like they're discussing something, so hold tight for a minute.
Hey, Mike, I'm here if you have questions.
Oh, did you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't, but I'm here now.
All right, so the very first question I had was, what are the most common problems you see for most people when you're checking a seat for the first time for them?
Well, a lot of them that I brought up, you know, like the chest clip being in the wrong spot and the 5-point harness. I think it's really common for people to use, and I don't know if I mentioned this, both the seatbelt or both the seatbelt and the latch. That was one question I think I failed to answer. You can only use one system at a time. And the main thing is that it has not been crash tested with both systems. It's one of the most expensive things that a manufacturer has to do when they are putting a seat out there, is that they have to get it crash tested. And so we always go with what the manufacturer says for that very reason.
Okay, excellent. And have you ever had somebody who's like their ego may get in the way as far as you wanting to check their seat and they're saying, no, I did it perfectly, there's no need for you to check? And how would you overcome that with somebody?
Yeah, it's an issue. I don't find that it's an issue in child passenger safety as it is with some other fields, because typically people really want to do what's best for their child. I have run onto parents who are like, yeah, I got this, no big, like, I don't need you to help me with my seat. Hello, I can do that, you know? And so I just see my role as what it is. I'm not an enforcement agency. I educate and I influence. And so I just try to keep that in mind. And I'll just say, hey, I could show you some things you may not be aware of, you know, and I've seen people soften. I'll tell you what, when I'm in the emergency room and a family's been in a crash and they have some kids who are hurt, they are all ears. And we want to get them before that happens, of course. But people really want to do the best they can for their kids. And so if you can work past that ego thing, you really can make a difference, because it kind of opens their eyes and, oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure. And one question from the chat is, overall, why is child passenger safety a concern? And is it a growing issue in terms of injuries and fatalities?
Well, I think it will always be a concern. However, I have to say this about highway safety. We have made incredible progress in that people wearing seatbelts, using child restraints, we just see it in the data. It's amazing the progress that we have been able to make over the last 30 or so years. And so I love that I work for an organization who's truly making a difference. And as people change their behavior, then their families are safer. And at our office here in Utah, our aim is to make sure that all families arrive home safely. And I feel like it will always be an issue, because we're talking about our children. We're talking about children who can't make these decisions for themselves. And so we're so grateful that we have that education and we have the data that is showing us how important this is.
Excellent. One more question I do have is, so you've been in car seat business for a while now, and do you see like a positive outcome as far as the amount of years that you've been working on it? And you just project that that's going to keep continuing to increase and you're going to see less people who are using seats incorrectly, like what we're seeing now?
I do believe that it's going in a positive direction. We hear those really sad stories, and it's always just heartbreaking to me to hear of a child who is one of those statistics, because it's preventable. And I do believe, though, that just over my time in the field, that, like I said, in the early 90s, we were just trying to get car seats in people's hands. And now we're talking about how we want them to use everything correctly. And so I think that if you were to talk to a law enforcement officer who's out in the field, they're seeing that people have the seats and are using the seats, but the problem is they're not using them correctly. So, I mean, there are those situations where you have the kid that's sitting in the booster. We boosted them up so that seatbelt fits correctly. But if they're not using the seatbelt, we boosted them up so they can head out the window easier. And so we need to use what we've been given and pass on that information to everyone. And you don't have to be certified to pass on this information. Someone who is certified can install and can probably teach in a way that you couldn't if you were not certified, but you can pass this on to anyone. It's very, very important information. So.
Yeah, well, excellent. As a matter of fact, we saw a real world example. John was going through the office talking about a Colorado family who went down a mountain and their kid was in a car seat, and they attributed it to saving their life, that they were properly restrained and in their seat. So
yeah, I love hearing stories like that. And sometimes we don't hear those positive stories as much as in the news, where we hear the stories where it goes the other way. But yes, I mean, we car seats, boosters are saving people's lives every day, and we may not hear about it because the outcome is great, and so it's not news. But I am not forgetting that is big news to me, and we are making big progress, and we so appreciate everybody who is helping with this effort.
I did fact check myself. It was in California, not Colorado, and it was a husband and wife couple with 2 kids in the back, 9 and 4, and they were on the Pacific Coast Highway. They were driving a Tesla. I don't know if that matters, but they lost control of the car, road conditions, weather, and they careened down Devil Slide, 300 feet. When the authorities showed up, they thought it'd be like a recovery effort, but they got to the car. Mom and dad were okay. They were buckled in, and the kids, because they were properly in car seats and boosters, they survived as well. So,
yeah,
very cool.
We need to hear more stories like that. So, unfortunately, with HIPAA, it's difficult because even though we know of the stories and they come through the emergency departments, we can't really share those without people really jumping on board and wanting to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Thank you very much for your time. It was a great presentation. I'm glad the information's out there for people who want it. And if you guys did enjoy listening to Kerilee and all the different nuances of car seat safety, we did do a podcast with her, and that link should be in the chat if you want to give that a listen. It's, I think, a pretty great podcast, and so you guys should definitely check it out if it's something that interests you. So thank you, Kerilee.
Thank you. It's been nice being here.
And as far as next month's webinar, we do have Josh Shelton, who works for Intercept Medical, and we'll be talking about sudden cardiac arrest, the importance of having an AED on scene for if something does go wrong, then you want people who are prepared and ready to go. So if you guys want to tune in for that, we look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks.